Yeah, I think I'm okay with this one. Can you hear me well? Yes, good. No, thanks for the invitation to have this space during the TPP to share more about the progress and the reflections around the CGIAR Agroecology Initiative. And I want to start by saying that many of you that are also part of the TPP were also part of the design process of this initiative and are also part of the implementation phase of this initiative. And I wanted to say this because really in practice, the CGIAR initiative itself is also a platform where we are bringing together researchers, NGOs, partners from local level, from national level, from international level, working around a common vision on how we can support desired agroecological transitions in each of the countries where we work. So, and I think this is important to say because this is also reflected in the way we are working. So we are trying that in every country where we work, we are all together, researchers, private sector, etc., working as a team and trying to understand what is our role in that desired agroecological transition. And so it's a challenge, right? Because probably it's not always the way we work. And it's not like we are external stakeholders to that process. We are part of that process, and we also try to enable those processes. So with this, I want to start. I think many of you have seen this before, but these are the countries where we work in the initiative. These are countries that were selected at the beginning of the initiative because we saw there were already interest for agroecological transitions from different stakeholders in that country. And also there was already some progress on that. So we can also contribute to a process that was initiated by that time. So here I wanted to highlight that this initiative is working at the food system level. So it's not working only with farmers, but also with other stakeholders that are key to apply agroecological principles, but especially to help us to kind of get food systems in a trajectory of sustainability and resilience and also that is more equitable. This initiative have, let's say, three main components. One is all how we really are in a truly engaged process in each country where we are combine different disciplines for the co-design of agroecological innovations. Then we have another package or component that is about policies and business models as a way to see how through better policies and through adapted business models, we can help widespread agroecology in the transition pathways identified in each country. And this other part is about science-based evidence. So it's how we are producing evidence to understand and learn what is working in agroecology, what is not working, where and with who, and also to understand what triggers behavior of different actors that are part or not part of those agroecological transitions. So it means that we are working a lot with a context-specific agroecological transition. And for that, we develop or propose to this concept of agroecological living landscape that someone was mentioning this morning. But basically, this is let's say, like a territory where different stakeholders come together to work and see what they can do from their different roles to advance an agroecological transition. So it means that the agroecological transition is also very different from one country to other, and the entry points to to those transitions are also different. So it means that we put also a lot of effort, and we are going to hear more about this, on vision to action. So to understand what is the vision that the actors have on those territories, and then what are the actions that can support that vision. And then in these different agroecological landscapes that we have across all these countries, we are now putting in place an international network of agroecological landscapes where we want to exchange learnings, we want to exchange about innovations in different type of systems, etc. So this is an example when we talk about transitions, what we are doing. So first thing, this is just taking as an illustrative way of showing based on this paper about how are agroecological transitions, that we are working from the agroecosystem perspective, but also to the food system perspective. So we are working with different stakeholders to do innovations at the agroecosystem level, but also on the way the farmers are connected to farmers and in the way institutions and policy are framed to support those transitions. So for example, in Kenya, we are working with our partners, and you are going to listen more about this, on plant-based biopesticides for farmyard manures, terraces, etc. But also at the same time, we are working to see how we develop better inclusive models for those farmers that can connect using this principle of fairness that we have in the HLP principles. And at the same time, we are linking with the national processes, especially with ISFA, on the framing of the national agroecology policy implementation. So this is just an example on how we work, let's say, across this continuum. This is the case of Tunisia. The same, there the entry point is more crop diversification, mixed crop livestock systems, how to cope with the scarcity of food during dry periods, and then linking this again to improve business models and also supporting national processes of policies. And as we go, it's the same for all countries. This is the case of Peru, where we are also trying to link not only with the conventional markets, but also trying to see, for example, if carbon markets can be also an opportunity to widespread some of the good practices that they are doing in agroforestry cocoa systems. So this is the case of Burkina Faso, India, and Laos. I'm not going to read here the details, but what I wanted to show here is that, again, every country and the entry point to that transition is very different. And this challenges us as well as a researcher, because it means we need to bring different researchers with different type of expertise that can really respond to the challenges that are in each of the countries. And the same for partners and the same for local partners. So it's a huge diversity of people that are put together to work towards these agroecological transitions. So this is reflected here, the different partners that are engaged in these transitions. Here you see the diversity I was talking about. And then what I wanted to highlight here is that the engagement process itself, making sure that is really in the context of co-designing and co-innovating, is something that we are monitoring. So we have a monitoring system where we kind of track who was engaged and for what purpose in this co-design process. So we are itself monitoring that to learn more about what could happen when we do that engagement in a different way. So this is from the context-specific perspective. And now we also have people in the team. In each country, we have teams that integrate different capabilities from the partners and from the centers. And we have like a champion in each country that is helped to link everyone along that transition pathway. But also looking across, we have the work package leaders that you are going to listen from them in some minutes, that they are also trying to see across the countries what is coming from there, what we can compare across. So you are going to learn from them, but this is an example from Work Package 1 that is trying to understand what are the different innovations that are coming from the different countries, what different analyses that we are going to apply here to assess these innovations and how these innovations link to the different principles. So this is kind of the benefit of having these teams looking across and trying to condensate and also extract some good lessons and learning across the landscapes. The same, you are going to listen about the agroecological assessment that we are doing all together. We were talking about Matrix this morning. This is a tool that we have developed all together with all the centers involved, where we are trying to analyze what works and what doesn't work in each of the countries, following the different type of indicators that are global indicators and localized indicators. And the same with business model, trying to understand how we actually make a business model also more agroecological based on what we are seeing is emerging from the different countries. The same from policies and institutions, trying to understand what are those policies and institutions that can facilitate the use and application of agroecological principles. We are developing a policy track tool, etc. And we are going to listen again in some minutes about this. And as I said at the beginning, we are also doing research on behavior change to understand from the past, taking as an example other initiatives around agroecology, what were the determinants for a behavior change in these countries, and then that can help us also to inform better investment plans, strategic plans of those organizations that are in these countries, also trying to support agroecological transitions. So just to finalize and to give the floor to my colleagues, as I said, we invested a lot in how to do that engagement process, how to co-design. It took a lot of time because even many of us in this initiative never worked before with each other. So even inside the initiative, we need to do a lot of integration, recognition of our capabilities, and then recognition and capabilities of our partners. And then depending on, regardless of the differences across the different contexts, we also have been able to develop some general guidelines on how to analyze the policies, the business models, how to put in place a metrics system, etc. And this is probably a benefit also having an initiative that is looking across different countries and contexts. We are, and this is something that we push a lot, is not only working about farmers, but also working with those other actors that are important. And that was, it sounds obvious, but even in the CGIAR, people think that agroecology is only working on farming practices. But when we are talking about agroecological transition, it's really working across the food system continuum. And then now we need to see better ways on how to scale those innovations that are emerging in each of the agroecological landscapes. We are now thinking on how to join efforts with accelerators for investment, for scaling, and trying to see other ways of supporting this scaling. If you have ideas on these, are welcome. And probably tomorrow we are going to have a roundtable to discuss ideas. And those are I think, I would like to hear ideas or lessons from you on projects that are about scaling. And then, as you say, as you have heard probably in the CGIAR, we are just starting to design a new research portfolio. And of course, the aim is to give continuity to this initiative, plugging this initiative into a program that is going to be probably broader in the focus, but we want to make sure that we give continuity and we are not starting from fresh. So many of people here are going to be somehow in that process, and we are highly committed to still give continuity to all we have started during these past 3 years. So with this, I want to give the floor to my colleagues. Thank you, Emily.
Thank you so much, Marcela, for giving us such a great overview and also setting the stage for the reflections tomorrow on how we can increase synergies, how we can deal with the complexity of local context and the need for generalized also conclusions. So thank you very much. So I think the next is going to be, can we unshare the screen? We're going to show some videos. So we have, we're going to hear short videos, or see short videos of the 5 work package leaders of the initiative. So I will now just, okay.
Go. We are work package 1. One of our main areas is agroecological living landscape, for which we have to engage with stakeholders in the various countries. How do we do that, Lisa?
So to support the country teams with the engagement of stakeholders, we developed a set of guidelines for inclusive and participatory engagement. So we first proposed a method for mapping stakeholders that are important for the agroecological transitions. And then we developed 6 principles of engagement to help the country teams really structure how they approach and how they interact with these different stakeholders to foster multi-stakeholder reflection and action within the orgs. Those include many different considerations, including how to select and motivate and involve stakeholders, how to build on existing structures, but make sure that they are fair, et cetera, et cetera. And they also guide our teams on how to develop real partnerships from their end with willing and interested partners, and also how to implement the initiative in a manner that is responsive to the interests and objectives of all members. Beyond that, we developed guidelines for more specific tasks that Nadia and Bernard will speak about just now. So Nadia, we are talking about agroecological transitions. What process do we support to make emerge these transition pathways that we're interested in?
Yes, we use an approach which is called Vision to Action, and it is a participatory process which consists of 4 different steps. One step is the visioning exercise that is done with the all stakeholders for them to envision the future that they would like to see in the all in 10, 15 years with a focus on agroecology. 2 is defining the agroecological transition pathway that will help them achieve the vision. 3 is defining the behavior change, identifying the behavior changes, and 4 is preparing a work plan to advance the transition pathway. It is an iterative process, therefore the visions and transition pathways need to be validated with the all stakeholders over time. And we are developing some guidelines that will be useful not only for the Agroecology Initiative countries, but also for other initiatives and other projects that are interested in co-designing systems transformation. And with co-design in mind, let me turn to Bernard. How does co-design of technical innovation differ from typical on-farm experiments that agronomists are used to handle?
Thank you, Nadia. Opposing them is a bit artificial because both focus on-farm experimentation and both give some room for farmers' input. There are, however, key differences, and the Work Package 1 teams have highlighted them and found them when engaging in co-design. First, farmers are not isolated individuals handpicked by researchers. They are selected by their own organizations. Also, farmers and their organization have a much stronger voice in and also a degree of control on the identification and selection of technologies that are being assessed in the experimental protocol in the overall process. Experimental design remains fairly simple. Monitoring evaluation of trials include criteria that talk to farmers, not just the biophysical variables dear to researchers, and interpretation of results and designing the way forward is done collectively. This said, both approaches may all have a role to play in contributing to achieving agroecological transition. That's it for Work Package 1. Now Work Package 2. Thank you very much.
Greetings, everybody. I'm Chris Dickens from EMI, and I'm presenting on Work Package 2, which is all about evidence for agroecology. So the whole idea of this work package is that we need to generate evidence of agroecology so that we can assess whether an innovation or a farm is truly agroecological or not. That's really important to be able to advance true agroecological principles. So we started the process, first of all, by collecting what we call context for agroecology in each country. These are documents which have got a large amount of data and information, all existing, that describes the context for agroecology in each living landscape. So that's the environmental, the social, the economic, the political, and also the agronomic characteristics, so that we can build new innovations into that context. So we developed a system for high performance assessment of agroecology. And the whole idea was premised around the need to have a holistic perspective which is balanced. So we need to balance the environmental, social, economic, and agricultural. There's no point having an imbalanced system because it would never be truly sustainable and thus could not really be called agroecological. So balance is really important. The system also needed to be relatively simple and inexpensive to collect. But the data that it collects, the indicators which are used, are also meaningful, they are feasible, they're sensitive, they actually describe issues about agroecology, they're useful, and they can be compared across countries. So these different criteria are really important for the indicators which are developed for the system. So we developed a system called HOLPA, which is the Holistic Localized Performance Assessment for Agroecology. And I won't go into detail here, but very quickly on the left-hand side, we have a component which is just to document the context of that particular farm for agriculture, so the altitude, the size of the farm, the type of geology, etc. The next step to the right is we have the degree of integration of agroecology. So this is just the existing degree to which the farm is already implementing either some or all of the agroecological principles. But the two main components are in the red circles there. And the left one is the global key performance indicators. These are indicators which are fixed through all the different evaluations on any farm, any country. They're always the same. And they are indicators of agroecological, environmental, economic, and social characteristics that we can actually that we can use to describe the essence in a globally comparable way. On the right-hand side is what is quite unique about the HOLPA framework, is that we have locally prioritized indicators as well, also for the 4 categories. And this is just so that we can introduce indicators which are really important in that particular landscape. And all of these things come together to allow a HOLPA evaluation. But just to briefly introduce the local indicator selection process, or LISP. So this is essentially a stakeholder-driven process where we consult with stakeholders, we brainstorm, we evaluate the different indicators they come up with, we prioritize, rank, and eventually select a short list of indicators. Just to show the number of assessments which have been done, the number is growing by the day. And lastly, the plans for the year. We're doing a lot of awareness raising. We're going to use the evidence generated by HOLPA to impact on the further developments of innovations in agroecology in the alls. And we're also documenting a lot of that in publications of various types. Thank you very much.
Greeting for all of you. I am Carolina Gonzalez, and I will describe Work Packet 3, Business Model and Financial Mechanism Drivers for the Agroecological Transition Process. We think that in rural communities, we can capitalize in a new or existing business opportunities that are arising from the agroecological transition in agricultural and in food system. And we think that using innovative financial mechanisms that apply the agroecological principles, we can unlock the bottleneck to inclusive and profitable business models. How we are doing this? We have a series of steps. First, we have to identify a value chain with the idea to identify inside of the value chain a business model. How we are doing this? We have 2 tools. We have the roadmap that integrate the agroecological principles to prioritize the value chain. And after that, we are doing a rapid value chain analysis to identify the business model. When we have the business model, we are using a series, some tools to evaluate the business model, taking into account the agroecological principles. Here I have the example of 2 tools. One is the BIAT. The BIAT is a tool developed by BioVision, and you apply this to the business model. We also have the business model Canvas. This is a methodology developed by the Alliance, and the main objective, in addition to the traditional business model, is to measure the inclusion. Having all of this information and the evaluation of the business model, we are redesigning or developing a new business model, co-developing a new business model under the agroecological principles. The idea is to increase the empowerment of the producer or group or their association to have a more effective participation at the market level and have a better relation producer-buyer. Using the information coming from this redesign, we have something. We are developing the business cases. This is very a focused document with the idea to increase the interest in the private and public investor that can support the co-design of this business model. And we are trying to identify some financial mechanisms to support the development of this investment case. Currently, we already identified some business model in our alls. For example, in the case of Kenya, we have a business model with the Conti Mango, and there we have a processing plant, and the idea is to have a better agreement with the private sector using dry mangoes, and in that way we can guarantee a better income for the producers that are also using agroecological activities. In the case of sorghum, we are working with a better company in creating better payments, agreements, and incomes, and this is because they are using agroecological practices. In the case of Burkina Faso, we have direct farming to improve the aggregation process for generating better incomes. In the case of Tunisia, we want to market olives with a value added through a certificate of origin label. In the case of Peru, we are increasing the production of organic fertilizers through residues coming from the crop diversified cacao farm. And finally, in the case of India, we want to promote the production of the organic gums. Thank you for your attention, and if you are interested in this topic, you can write me an email. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Frank Place. I'm with the International Food Policy Research Institute, and I'm co-leader of Work Package 4 on strengthening the policy and institutional enabling environment. Our work package works in all 8 of the countries of the Agroecology Initiative. We're hoping to support outcomes as well as producing outputs to support those outcomes. So amongst the outcomes, we've contributed to strategy, policy, and program development and implementation at national and local levels. Some examples that you're familiar with there in Kenya is the Kenya National Agroecology Strategy led by ISFA, and we're participating in those discussions. Similarly, we had some discussions with the Ucayali regional government on their biotrade policy and have had numerous discussions with the ministries at the national level on their feed and forest strategy in Tunisia. Similarly, we contributed to strengthening institutions to support agroecological transitions. One example is the Dairy Innovation Platform in Burkina Faso, and another one is with the DTIAS agroecological movement in Senegal, which is well-renowned and hoping to build up local level platforms. And this is in association with all the other work packages of the initiative. In support of the above, we helped to develop tools and conducted analyses using some of those tools. Some of the tools is to help support policy engagement processes, and some of the analysis we've done is policy stakeholder identification and reviews of policy frameworks. So just to give you a flavor for how that plays out, I picked a couple of our countries. So one is Tunisia, where we've done some mapping of policy actors. We've also done many presentations and dialogues to diverse audiences, and this was, in a sense, to foster a more pragmatic and systematic understanding of agroecology so that everybody had a shared and common understanding of what that meant. We also have taken valuable tools and evidence that were done either in the past or in the current initiative cycle to synthesize and bring them to the discussions in our policy engagements. And some of the focus of the dialogues has been, as mentioned before, on the feed and forages strategy and investment plan. In the case of Zimbabwe, we did a similar mapping of policy stakeholders, both at the local and national level. We did a deep review of relevant policies and their implications on incentives for agroecology. We've engaged with policy actors at local and national levels to identify areas for how the initiative could support them. And one of those areas is to identify ways of unlocking opportunities for implementation of some of the policies that are there on paper but not in practice. So we're going to be working on those. So in terms of wrapping up this phase in 2024, we're going to continue our engagement to support national partners in policy and institutional change. We're going to do some various different types of analytical support that has a demand from our partners. One is increasing access to information on resources to support agroecology in India through some of the missions that they have. We're going to try to help inform establishment of effective local multi-stakeholder platforms in Kenya. And some of the ideas we have for learning and research are cross-country nature, and this is on policy enablers and blockers, on political economy issues, and attributes of successful multi-stakeholder platforms. So thank you very much on behalf of my colleagues, Eamon Freya and Ruth Mines-Dick. Have a good workshop and meeting. Thank you.
This is Sarah Freed, and I am sharing the highlights on understanding and influencing agency and behavior change from Work Package 5 in the CGIAR Initiative on Agroecology. So to start with, the intended outcome of this work package is that scientists, funders, policymakers, business partners, and civil society use scientific knowledge on agency and behavior change in their strategies and action plans for agroecological transformation. To achieve this, our strategy is first conducting research to understand: are food system actors motivated and empowered to support agroecological transitions? Why and how for different types of actors? What kind of engagement strategies with diverse actors are effective in achieving intended changes? We then take these research findings and translate them into actionable strategies for the agroecological living landscapes and partners. Our highlights to date in this work package include drawing lessons on successes and failures in improving agency and changing behaviors from past agroecologically relevant initiatives. Online, you will find 4 country briefs are available. We are also innovating a framework to identify agency and behavior change entry points for transforming agri-food systems. We're conducting participatory research in the agroecological living landscapes to understand food system actors' agency, experiences, and behaviors in the agroecological transition. We're studying young women's and men's perspectives and experiences with agroecology in their agri-food systems. Finally, in Tunisia, we are studying the role of the foodscape in sustainable and nutritious diets for rural farming communities. Thank you.
Go. We are work package 1. One of our main areas is agroecological living landscape, for which we have to engage.
So I think we really should congratulate all the work packages for this format. I think it was really good. And thank you very much. It was amazing to get an overview. So I think we're all really waiting for a panel to know more about the partners that are involved in this initiative. So for that, it's my pleasure to invite Bernard to moderate this exciting panel. So I hope.
Wait. So we have said since the morning that it is important not only to talk from the research viewpoint, but from the viewpoint of partners. Not all partners could make it here. Here we have a great sample of different types of partners. There are, I will end up with research. There are people from NGOs. Can you just raise your hand if you consider you are NGOs? You're not an NGO. Yeah. There are people from Extension, and there are even people from National Research Institution. So the main point, I will ask each of them to introduce themselves. You will give your name, your institution, where you work. And like this, then we will start. And I will ask them questions. They didn't receive the question in writing before. So they didn't prepare necessarily what they are going to tell us. It's more a conversation. And what we hope is you can share candidly, not to say thank you to the researchers, but to say how you try to work together and how you try to achieve your own objectives by collaborating with the research people. Okay? So you introduce yourself, and then you pass it.
Hello, my name is Nicholas. I run an organization called in Drylands Natural Resources Center. It is in Makueni. I founded it and I direct it. We are working with about 1,000 farmers. And the last year we were selected as agroecological living landscapes. It's where we host you, it's where you do your research. So for now, I think that's enough. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Loveness Mdarikwa. I'm from Zimbabwe. I'm an agriculture extension officer working under the Ministry of Agriculture in Zimbabwe. So on this, I'm a partner with Summit. On this project, I'm a facilitator also. I also work with farmers as an extension at a local level with almost 2,500 farmers that I'm working with so far. That's my introduction. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I'm Esther Kagai. I work for CSHEP Kenya. We are based in Kiambu County and Kiserian. I am the director, and we've been working with the Agroecology Initiative since inception in 2023. Yeah.
Thank you. Good afternoon. I'm Modou Gueye. I'm from Senegal. I am a researcher in ISRA, the National Institute of Research, in the Department of Rural Socio-Economic and Socio-Economic Rural Departments. We are the partner of CIRAT in this initiative. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Dikyani. I'm from India, and I'm working with Pradhan, Professional Assistance for Development Action. And in this initiative, we have been engaging from 2023. So basically, we are working with the women farmers in the Central India tribal belt, mostly in developing their livelihoods. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Edouard Jean. Donc, I represent today the Association The Friend of CAPT in Tunisia. Donc, our focus is to implementation of agroforestry system and working with the initiative in Tunisia.
Okay, so thank you for the introduction. So I will ask questions. I will try to direct questions. You can answer. And if some of you, I am not going to ask each of you the same question. So if some of you, after listening to your colleague, you want to add something, you are welcome to compliment. So I don't even know how I will start, but what we know is all of you have a long trajectory way before you started with the initiative, right? So you started recently with us, but you have, I don't know how many years of work before that. So how, Esther, you said since last year you work with the initiative and there is a long engagement process. What made you want to work with this initiative? What is it bringing that is useful for your organization?
What really interested me in working with the initiative is that most of the people who are coming in are researchers, and we are farmers. And there has been a gap between the research that has been done by the researchers and the implementing farmers, because in most cases you find the research is done, a lot of books are written, but kept in a shelf. But when I heard that the scientists are coming now to the ground, I was so interested to work with them so that we can now implement what they have.
I will continue with, you want to add something?
Thank you. I wanted to add on, together with Esther, we are members of PELAM. And the initiative came through PELAM. So there was a criteria to select which organizations in PELAM kind of practice agroecology. And I think that's how we were chosen. Somehow it was by coincidence or by default, I don't know. Thank you.
Can you just tell us what PELAM is? What is PELAM? Because some people don't.
PELAM is a network of organizations which are doing organic farming, agroecology, let's say nature positive projects, and we are members of about 56 members. So you join the PELAM, and it's a network of organizations which promote agroecology, permaculture, organic farming, and all that. And the members are here. You can interact with them. You become a member, then you get benefits, and also they benefit from the organization. Thank you.
For Pradhan, how did you connect? Because I think in India you have a lot of people working on natural farming and things like that. How did you connect?
For us, we have been working in the domain of livelihoods for I guess 40 years, because Pradhan initiated from the idea of livelihoods, especially women. But what I guess lacked was we were implementing a lot of models and prototypes. Initially, of course, it was not very much inclined with agroecology, but slowly it shifted towards agroecology. But now, I guess this has brought in an opportunity where we will be, where we are actually, trying to understand in what ways are our prototypes impacting. So that is where we found it interesting and exciting. Both in the sense of soil health, human health, and so this I think this is an opportunity for us to understand like how impactful is our work for the community. Yeah.
So I will shift topics a little bit, but if you want to add something about how you met, in your case, the ICARDA and the national partners, you are welcome to add something to this topic before I ask you another question.
Okay, thank you. But we used to work with research institute in Tunisia before, but we were invited to the co-design process of this initiative with ICARDA, and it was opportunity for us to continue the work we are doing with farmers to make to have a larger vision of agroecology in the place.
Okay. Since you have the mic, keep it a little bit. I am not forgetting. Huh? You work on agroforestry. How different your work you were doing is from the agroecology that the initiative has put as a focus? Is it the same? Is it different? Is it?
Well, generally, we work with partners all the time, but in this case, there is a lot of in the living landscape, there is a lot of innovation, a lot of practices we find in the farmers' plots, and they are coming from the research institute and from the local NGO. Donc it's not the same time working alone, isolated, and with a different partner like this. These things are complementary between just agroforestry and the global reflection of agro-system.
Maybe Esther and Nicholas, you talked about organic agriculture, that you work a lot. Organic agriculture, agroecology for you is the same thing?
That has been a topic, whether agroecology and organic farming is the same thing.
For you, huh? Not for the researchers, for you.
Yes, yes. And for me, I think organic is just a component in agroecology. Because whenever we say we are promoting organic, I think there are some other things that are left out. But when we are promoting agroecology, it's like a wholesome aspect. Yeah.
Modu, I am going to ask in English, but you are welcome to answer in French. And either I translate or somebody who is not a moderator who thinks they can translate well, you are welcome. So Modu, you worked on a national level, DTAES, which is a dynamics for transition to agroecology at the national level. That was before the initiative. And you have a local level, in your case, in the fatigue department. And here in the initiative, we talk about living landscape. Did we bring something new to you, or was it already ongoing?
Ok, merci. C'est une question très intéressante. Je vais répondre en français, n'est-ce pas? Ok, merci. Au Sénégal, nous avons, comme vous l'avez dit, nous avons une dynamique qui a lancée depuis 2019, dynamique nationale pour la transition agroécologique. C'est au niveau...
So they have, since 2019, an ongoing dynamics of transition to agroecology at the national level in Senegal.
Oui, c'est une dynamique qui est composée de plusieurs acteurs, notamment la recherche, l'université, la société civile, les producteurs.
So it's a multi-stakeholder dynamics with research, universities, civil society, farmers.
Yeah. Les services d'extension donc et services techniques. Yeah. Donc all this. C'est maintenant c'est au niveau national. Et comme Sénégal, il y a des niveaux locaux aussi, région et.
It works at the national level and it works at the regional level.
Yeah. Maintenant au niveau local, on a des dynamiques qui sont affiliées à la dynamique nationale.
And the two are connected, the regional level and the national level.
Depuis 2020, on a plusieurs projets de recherche, développement, qui travaillent sur l'agroécologie. Donc, on a consacré l'essentiel des activités sur une des détails pour produire des évidences scientifiques par rapport à l'agroécologie sous forme de vitrine.
So they have several projects working on agroecology since 2020. So they have focused their activities in one of these regional multi-stakeholder platforms.
Yeah. Donc, c'est dans ces détails qu'on a consacré la majeure partie de nos activités de recherche. Quand l'initiative est venue, donc on l'a greffé dans le détail local.
So when the initiative invited them, they actually used their existing platform to implement the initiative and not the other way around.
L'initiative a consolidé les acquis, mais aussi il a apporté de l'innovation, il a apporté aussi de la plus-value par rapport à ce qu'on a l'habitude de faire.
So the initiative helped them strengthen things they were already doing and then added new components to what they were already doing.
Yeah. Par exemple, toutes les activités ou composantes présentes tout à l'heure de l'initiative ont été adoptées dans le plan d'action, la détaillée qui constitue notre hall.
So the action plan of this regional platform, they added some of these work package activities that were maybe not part of the initial action plan. So they enriched the action plan with these components from the work package.
Yeah. Maintenant, donc, juste pour résumer, donc, l'initiative a apporté donc d'appui au niveau institutionnel, mais également appui donc technique par rapport à ce qu'on a tout lycée.
So there is institutional support and technical support.
Yeah, avec les chaînes de valeur 1000 et les
like value chain, for example.
Yeah. Thank you.
Now, maybe for governors from your extension department, Agritech, what does the initiative bring to you that maybe you were not doing before, that thanks to the initiative, you are now part of a different way of working? Emily, I am not managing the time, so when we have a few minutes left, you let me know.
Yes, and it's good that you called me because I also was just asking from the partners online if there was anyone who also wanted to join. So I've sent a private message to Simone. Okay. I'm waiting to hear. So can I jump in at some point?
Yes. Still? How much?
3:15. So
okay, good. So by the way, we have partners who could not make it, who are connected, and we will try to have them jump in if they think they can share some of their experiences. So sorry, back to Agritech and what you are finding in collaborating with the initiative that is of value to you.
Thank you, Bernard, for the question. As for me, I would say I've been an agriculture extension worker for 15 years in my area. But with this initiative of agroecology, it brings a change in many lives. In what way? As I said before, we train farmers, we do some projects, but we've been doing this thing of agroecology, like we're using manure, even if back before Green Revolution, we're still using the manure. But the thing that was different, what can I say, the agroecology project, it brings a new innovation in a way that we started this project at a bottom to top approach. We started this by creating groups at a common ground with the real farmers. And like what we do, sometimes the project comes from the from the top, the government officials and the partners and the NGOs, they sit together, they agree on something of which it does not work way on the ground when they bring it on the ground. But on this, we created groups, all groups at a common ground, asking the farmers what they want, depending on the agroecological zone. That's where we could choose what type of crops we should choose to crop depending on our local environment. So this was the different, because it comes and gives a common ground to everyone to give their views, to exchange their views, to exchange their knowledge, of which it was in a fair ground that was fine to everyone, especially at a common ground.
Thank you.
Okay.
Anybody wants to compliment on saying what they have found in the collaboration?
One difference that I can see is that I think the number of stakeholders that we are engaging in this initiative has increased a lot, especially in forums like co-designing and visioning, although they were part of this process. But I think we have gotten a chance to include a lot of system level actors in in bringing changes, or in bringing innovations or thinking innovations regarding agroecology. So this is one thing that, I mean, in one sentence again, if we talk about it, then we have moved a bit from isolation towards more collaborative action. Yes.
Since Marcela presented, we talked about vision. We talked about visioning. Can any of you tell us what vision you have come up with the different partners, and how easy it was to link this vision to agroecology? Is everybody convinced they want the future to be agroecological? Is it something that is a bit a challenge? But give us a sense for the vision you have developed.
Yeah, c'est intéressant d'expliquer parce que visioning, pourquoi faire le visioning? Si je prends le cas du Sénégal, yeah. Nous avons fait le visioning et on a décliné plusieurs scénarios. Maintenant, tous les scénarios ne riment pas avec l'agroécologie. Yeah.
Sorry, not all the scenarios include agroecology.
Donc, le visioning, c'est un support pour guider maintenant l'action. C'est-à-dire qu'on a des futurs possibles du territoire et on veut développer, co-créer des innovations et des pratiques avec les producteurs. Ça va servir de support pour territorialiser ce qu'on appelle l'agroécologie, mais également les politiques publiques qui viennent d'en haut par rapport aux différentes possibilités de l'avenir du territoire, comment maintenant avoir un œil très loin, mais également sur les possibles voies que le territoire peut emprunter, faire un peu la territorialisation des politiques pour coller par rapport à ce qui existe, mais également la concurrence.
I think I need some training on simultaneous translation. What he says, the scenarios are a support for guiding action, and they also help them identify innovation that then will be, I think he used the word territorialized, which I'm not sure how you would translate this into proper English. So it is a help to moving forward and knowing where things can be actually applied in terms of the innovation. And there is also a big interaction with the political level.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody on the vision? But giving an example of what kind of vision you have developed.
Okay, Bernard. In Zimbabwe, I will say from my working place, we had a vision that we come up of, which was we want to have improved breeds on livestock and better markets. in partnership with our partner, we managed to do the seed phase, and farmers were exchanging their breeds, and we are into chicken poultry project in partnership with Hamara, and farmers are receiving a lot of information in the trainings that we are doing, and we are linking our farmers to different markets, not only on local basis, but outside the ward, outside the district, and even if at national level through our WhatsApp groups. We'll be saying, I have my chickens, I'm selling them at how many weeks, and we are at least fetching better prices, and farmers are exchanging their knowledge. So the vision, we are in a good spot.
Okay, thank you very much. You want to share?
Right. For us, we are doing vegetables, and our vision was there to go up to the level of to have the full value chain. And when we started with the initiative and we did the co-design, and now the farmers, we started getting the right way, like it was streamlined, and now we are clear where we want to go up to packaging the dried vegetables. We know there are so many handles to go through in at this time, but our main vision is to get our flooded vegetables and tomatoes and everything put into value addition and preserved to be used in the time when we don't have anything. Yeah.
Thank you very much. We will shift a little bit the topic. Just I want to share, I was in Tunisia last week, and we met this woman who is leading a women's group, and in her vision and her group, empowerment and getting more say in the future of their communities was very important. So the vision is not necessarily only technical. It can have this social issue that go, and you can say it's part of agroecology, but it's part of a wider social transformation. Okay, now let's go to the difficult question is, okay, you guys work with research. Is research doing everything right? Could they do something that is more useful to you? We say there will be maybe a phase 2. So we will continue working. Many of you just started last year. Do you think there are things that we haven't done yet as researchers to collaborate with you that would be very valuable for you in your regions, in your organizations, that you would like us to take on board?
Yeah, so far so good, but maybe something that can be done better or yes, can be improved is the bringing back of information after taking up, like for example, a certain survey or a certain research on maybe IPM. What are your findings? They get lost in the air. We don't get the results, and those are the results are what we are interested in. Yeah.
Thank you. I was very interested to start to work with the researchers. When you use that term and you come with the red plates, you also disturb the whole community. They feel they are very important people around, and they start behaving like you excite the community. And then for us, when you come in and you want to find out things, you do assessment, you write papers. One of our things we found in the papers, we are not there. So you come talk to our farmers, we contribute a bit, but when you publish, then we are nowhere to be seen. That never sat well with us. I think we talked with the group and it was solved. The other thing is you come and find, for example, there is a water scarcity. You write in your report, Makueni, where you come from, the main problem is water scarcity. But then our interest is, can you go further and do something? because if you don't do something, there is a disconnect, because our interest is also we are trying to solve these issues. If there is a water problem, can we build a sand dam so that our farmers can access? Because you might even find water scarcity is a problem, but it was known 20 years ago. But if you now come in and do something, then there's that we feel we are in sync, we are together now, because I always feel there's a gap. You want to find out information as we want to do it. So as we move forward, I'm thinking, how do we then harmonize our interests so that you are finding out, but also you are going extra mile to do something on the issues we are trying to solve. I think that's a gap I find, and as we move forward, we'll be looking for that.
So you want responsiveness on a demand-driven agenda.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, I talk from my country, from Zimbabwe. As we can see, we are using this high knowledge of networking, but from Zimbabwe, where I come from, there's no network at all. So I don't know if it's possible for the partners to work with other stakeholders that can help to improve the connectivity where farmers are living. You know, sometimes farmers, they have small phones, but they're not accessible to WhatsApp. If it's possible, you could work, the partner could work with responsible companies that can help farmers to have access to network, so that it's easier for us as extension to disseminate or to put more information to the farmers. Even if you want to do the meetings, even if there's a challenge that you want to correct or to help farmers with, but due to connectivity, I think it's very possible for you guys to work together and to improve the lives also. Because where I come from, I was talking to Nelly in the afternoon when we're having lunch. I can't even open an email. I go to Harare, which is around 80 to 100 kilometers. So it's a challenge for network. If there's anything you could help us, farmers from rural areas, it would be a great help. Thank you.
One of you wants to add something?
I think one component which can be added, or an area which can be studied specifically in the area where I'm working in India, because youth or the youngsters, they are, if you ask somebody, some of the youths, then they would say that they are not interested in agriculture at all, because they want to move out, they want to do work that they do not include so much of drudgery. So maybe we can include the coming generation and ask them like what kind of innovations do they want in agroecological practices, because they are the ones who will be continuing. So I think this is one thing, one area which can be studied. Yep.
So we are going almost to a close, and I want to make sure those who are online, maybe if they have something to add, but if one of you wants to add an urgent recommendation for the future, we are fine. Senegal is okay.
It's okay, thank you.
I also feel like when you come to the host organizations, you identify different gaps in our working areas. We will really also appreciate when you point out the gaps that we have for improvement, and also where you can support us. We are free. We are open for any kind of support. Yeah.
Thank you very much. So those online, I don't know if they wrote something on the chat, but if somebody either can read what they have put or wants to add, to ask for an intervention orally, we have time for one or two online contributions. If there is none, I think we heard different things. We didn't have much time. You can see the idea of doing research differently, giving credit to the local stakeholder. I think you said it very clearly. So it is not just coming and doing our surveys and activities. This demand-driven dimension, which is always a challenge, because we are in project where usually the outputs and the outcomes are written before the project starts, and we don't necessarily have, I would say, the mindset to change it, or even the possibility. So I think these points are well taken. Maybe I haven't asked an important question. If one of you wants to say something that is not a question, but is your own message to the members.
Just a quick one on because the partnership with NGOs and academicians or researchers is such an important thing, because I feel it's like whose time has come to have this kind of agroecology initiative where we work with the locals and also the researchers, because we do some work. Like, for example, we are doing a lot of integrated pest management, and we want also to take that further, maybe commercializing it. But we always feel inadequate to do it. So when you come in and you associate with our work and you add more information on the same, and then your name is there, our name is there, then we have confidence to even take it to the market and everybody else trusts that. So I always feel it's such an important partnership at this time, where we also want to take from charity to social entrepreneurship. That is very important. I don't know how to explain it, but academician and the practical part, it really works very well. And that is something which our organization looks at it like it's so important, because now we can find out these things, and our farmers the same. You like, we need trials. They were part of the trials. Then when they started looking for they came for the knowledge sharing, they found you know so much, and they were like, okay, you guys, can we be trained more on soils? Can we be trained more on water and all that? Because now you add the extra knowledge, what they know, and then it becomes hybrid, which I think is very exciting, and I can't emphasize more than that.
Time has come. I think we can clap and say thank you to our partners.